Today we'll be performing active and passive range of motion of the shoulder, as well as manual muscle testing and muscle length. I'm Samer Sarsour.
I'm Rose.
I'm David.
And I'm Megan.
Our next measurement is going to be active range of motion of the shoulder complex internal rotation. So we choose to perform this in a sideline position in order to stabilize the shoulder complex and prevent any scapular rotation that may influence our measurements. So the first step is going to be to have the patient turn over onto their right side. As he does this, we're going to make sure that both of his shoulders are aligned with this bottom shoulder underneath the rest of his body in order to keep that pressure on that shoulder complex. And we also want to make sure that the hips are aligned in order to prevent any sort of low back tweaking. I'm going to go ahead and take a seat so I can have a good vantage point as I measure his shoulder complex internal rotation. So from this stage, we're going to move your arm upward, perpendicular from the body, and bend the elbow to 90 degrees, and make sure that the palm is facing down towards the mat. I'm going to stabilize the distal humerus as I align the goniometer on his arm. We're going to palpate for the olecranon, which is the fulcrum. The proximal arm is going to remain vertical, and the distal arm is going to move with his arm as he brings it down towards the mat. So next step, I'll have you move your arm down towards the mat. I'm stabilizing his humerus as he does this. Good, hold that position. Palpate for the ulnar styloid, and that's going to be the alignment point for our goniometer. And we're reading a measurement of 20 degrees. You can go ahead and relax. Normal range of motion is 50 degrees, and this is 20, so we're definitely in a hypomobile range right now.
So I'll be doing passive range of motion for shoulder complex flexion, and I've got the patient's knees bent so his back doesn't extend during the motion, and I'm also sitting to maintain proper body mechanics and protect my back. So I'm going to passively move the patient's arm into flexion, and then I'll just have him hold that position for a second while I palpate for the lateral aspect of the greater tubercle. And then I'm going to line my fulcrum up right there. And I'll have the proximal arm going along the mid-axillary line. And then the distal arm is just going to go along the midline of the humerus. And I'm going to apply slight overpressure. And I can see here that he's right at 180, which is normal. So I can say his shoulder flexion is normal.
Today we will be performing a manual muscle test of the pectoralis major upper fibers. So first, to get in the proper position, supine and bending at the knees. This will keep the lumbar spine maintained and supported by the table. So I'm going to passively bring her left arm straight up into flexion and then also into horizontal adduction. Can you hold that position for me? Perfect. And then I'm going to stabilize at the contralateral shoulder and try to bring her into abduction. Don't let me move you. Hold, 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 hold. Good. And relax. So I would grade that a 5 out of 5 because I was not able to break the position out of against strong pressure. I will be performing a manual muscle test of the middle deltoid today. So first things first, in proper position. She is seated with her shoulders in line with the pelvis and feet flat on the floor. I will passively bring her arm into abduction. And the elbow is at 90 degrees, palm facing the floor. Can you hold this position? Perfect, so that's a 3 out of 5 against gravity. We'll stabilize at the shoulder and provide resistance at the distal humerus into adduction. All right, don't let me move you. Hold, 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 hold. Good, and relax. I will grade that a 4 out of 5 because I was able to break the position against moderate pressure.
I'm doing muscle length testing of the latissimus dorsi, teres major, and rhomboids. First, I want my patient supine, which she is. I'm going to ask her to raise her knees. This helps maintain the lumbar position throughout the movement. I'm going to come over to her right side to assess the right arm. I'll bring her passively into full flexion. I want to apply overpressure to get the end feel, which should be firm, and it does feel firm. I also want to see how far she can get to the table. A normal muscle length for latissimus dorsi, teres major, and rhomboids should be able to get all the way to the table. She has slight shortness in the latissimus dorsi, teres major, and rhomboids. If I wanted to measure, I could palpate for the lateral epicondyle and measure that distance to the table.
Thanks for watching.
We hope you enjoyed.